let's do.
All right. Hold on one second and I'll get that going.
Starting really quick, so.
Bob Green,
Hi.
Terry Buechner,
Here.
Pat Androni,
Here.
Zach Roberts,
Here.
Dick Cashman.
Here. Okay, Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, at this particular point in time, we're gonna open this up for public comment. Oh, sorry, thank you. Turn on your microphones, folks. I didn't do that, so I'm just as guilty as everybody. There's an opportunity for anybody to address the zoning board of appeals on any issue. Please observe the time limit of 3 minutes. While the zoning board of appeals encourages input from residents and may not discuss or act on any issue that is not duly noticed on the agenda, please see the public comment instructions at the end of this agenda. Is anybody interested in addressing the zone? Residents? Okay, we'll close out public comment then. Back to general business. Looking to approve the minutes from the July 1st, 2025 zoning board of appeals. Everybody got a chance to review those minutes? You're all here last time, so. Yeah. Looking for a motion to approve. Move that may be approved. I'll second. Motion and a second. Any comments, concerns? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Thank you for that. All right, we're going to move into the public hearing for a petition from David Dahman for an area variance from sections 84.229 sub G of the Village of Cross Plains Municipal Code of Ordinances to allow a driveway extension with a reduced setback into the side yard at 3105 Vollenbeck, Cross Plains, Wisconsin.
All right. Do we want to go with just an overview now, or do you want to wait for the second item? Do we want to do the public hearing and see if anybody has anything they want to?
Yeah, let's go with the public hearing for a petition.
Okay,
My apologies that I skipped over that. I don't know why I did that.
no problem.
Public hearing for a petition from David Dahman for an area variance from the section 250. Well, that's what I just stated. So we're in the public hearing portion.
Right.
So, at that particular point, from the public comments and such as that, or we're just gonna go into our own discussion. Which would you?
We can go into the discussion. That sounds just fine. So I will kind of give an overview of what we're looking at tonight. So I did put a memo together in your packets. So David Dahman, he's at 3105 Vollenbeck. So he's filed an application for an area variance from section 84.29G of the municipal code. So basically what that means in chapter 84 is that the setback, oops, I'll go back to where I just was. So that is in the single family residential. So single family 4 is what his zoning designation is for his home. And so he is requesting a driveway extension with a reduced setback into his side yard. So he's hoping to widen his driveway an additional 2 feet 6 inches closer to the lot line. So I also have a photo here that kind of shows that a little bit more in detail too. So this is the addition. So he had filed a right-of-way permit for a replacement of his original driveway. And then this is the 8-foot and change section that he's hoping to obviously pave as well. So he's hoping to lay the concrete there so that he can move his RV from the driveway over to the extended driveway.
Before we go any further, did the original right-of-way permit include this addition? Because it looks like work was done.
Right, so.
That's what I'm a little baffled here.
Yeah, so the original right-of-way permit only included the driveway replacement. And when our public facilities director came out to take a look, he noted that this extension was added as well. So this was not something that was indicated in the right-of-way permit. So we showed him in the zoning code, you know, what is allowed, what isn't. This is within 2.5 feet of the right-of-way or the property line. So that is not permitted, hence why he's here to file a variance tonight. You're very welcome. So yeah, I just kind of included in my project background that our public facilities director drove by and thought that it was only the existing driveway, and then he has the additional 8-foot, 4.5-inch section roped off for the RV parking. And then upon, like I said, reviewing section 84.29, the minimum pavement setback is 5 feet from the side lot line. So again, he has 2 feet 6 inches of the lot line, and the zoning or the zoning code says 5 feet is required. So again, this is another setback issue, kind of like we experienced last time we met. And so a lot of what I have in here is similar. So, you know, with the setbacks, they're not explicitly discussed in the comprehensive plan, but they are used to improve safety and aesthetics for developments. And then I go through just a couple of thoughts on some of the key components to obtaining a zoning variance. So the first one being that it can't be contrary to public interest. And so an extended driveway with the pavement coming within 2 feet 6 inches of the side lot line does encroach on the neighbors at 3111 Ballenbeck. This may be contrary to public interest. I know we received a letter stating that the neighbor would be just fine with this. However, as we kind of discussed in previous meetings, we don't know what the next property owner may think. And then substantial justice will be done by granting the variance. Currently, the property and house are in compliance with the zoning code. No justice is lost if kept within the current use. And then the variance is needed so that the spirit of the ordinance is observed. Again, property and house are currently in compliance, and a variance would actually be averse to the spirit of the ordinance if observed. And then the unnecessary hardship condition as well. I did not see any special conditions or enforcement leading to unnecessary hardship. The current property is zoned appropriately. For single family, the hardship is created because the owner desires the extension of the driveway. And so then the last one here is if there were any alterations of historic structures or buildings, and this property is not a historic structure. So that's kind of my overview from my perspective, but however you want to proceed, Bob?
Yeah, I guess at this particular point, David, come up and talked about this and some of the things that I'm not sure if you're aware, but the zoning board of appeals, we're a quasi-court of law. So we actually have to follow the laws and the rules as such, and we actually have certain criteria to if we're not going to follow them. And because we can't actually have a court of law look over our shoulders and say whether or not you interpreted it correctly. So we're very limited in what we can and can't do to where we're at. But so I think we did a nice job here talking about it. So how do we want to address this? The first one we have is there are conditions unique to the property that do not generally apply. We're gonna have to be able to look at, if we find any of these that we're saying, no, we can't agree with, then we'll deny the variance. So let's start with the first one and hear what you have to say on number one. What unique conditions do you have to your property that don't apply to other properties in the area? Is there anything unique to the property itself?
Not necessarily. For uniqueness, I mean, besides a hill on the backside of me.
Gotcha, alrighty. Let me say this one, substantial justice will be done by granting the variance. Currently, it's, it is under code. Your neighbor has said that they're okay to bring a driveway within 2 feet.
Yes, I have Charlene, which is
I got it.
I'm the owner of that.
Shirley, okay,
Joni's mom lives there now,
okay,
and in time,
I will
when,
be
when
there.
her mother passes, then Joni gets the house.
Okay.
on it. So she's actually got her name in it right now.
Gotcha.
I'm A-okay with what he's doing to his property. I have not a problem.
Okay, and then, third one, for any area variance, compliance with the strict letter of the ordinance. Would prevent unreasonably prevent the use of property for a permitted purpose. Or would render compliance with the ordinance unnecessarily burdensome. So this is the one that I'm looking at that is kind of tough for me, so perhaps if you could address number 3 here. Because currently you have a driveway, you have the ability to park your
Right.
camper on the driveway. Which is required, by ordinance that it needs to be parked in a driveway. So if you could maybe address that, I'm sure it'll be well.
To start out with, I have to apologize for as far as it got, where you're seeing it's done. My understanding was that we could be up closer than what it was until Matt
mhm,
let us know about the 5 foot. That's the reason why it's done as far as it is as of right now. So we just stopped when he told us this.
Oh, no, I appreciate you stopping. And just out of curiosity, and I don't need that if you don't want to enter, where did you get the, did your contractor tell you or?
No, I'm doing my own concrete work, but it's other people that I have talked to. It apparently. It was misread on how this was interpreted, so.
Understood. And my apologies, because I saw, oh, wow, you're pretty deep into it already.
Yeah, that's what happened is we got kind of misguided a little bit there.
Okay, alrighty, number 4, the alleged I'm sorry, did you have any?
Oh, you're good.
Okay, thank you, my apologies. The alleged difficulty or hardship is created by the terms of the ordinance rather than, what your interest in the property is. So, hardship created, this isn't worded very well, but basically it says, are there some unique property or unique aspects of your property that would create a hardship? And then it will mean that you need to create and do this and do your your driveway out.
Would it be a hardship on my end?
Mhm.
Well. I've got 2 kids that live with me at right now, but during the winter, the thing would be gone, but it gives me more room to park 3 vehicles. If not 4, if I decide to buy one, cause my truck sits, I've never drove it in winter, so I would end up buying myself another vehicle. So it'd be 4 vehicles in a variant.
Yep, I have 3 in my driveway, so I'm more than that.
It becomes kind of a nuisance at times.
Mhm.
mhm.
And number 5, I'm sorry, anything else?
No, we're good there.
Okay. The proposed variance shall not create substantial detriment to adjacent property. I think we put the letter we have here. That answers that question.
I don't have a problem with it.
Understood. Before I move on to 6. Okay, the proposed variance shall be compatible with the character of the immediate neighborhood. That's another question. Yeah, I don't know, character of the immediate neighborhood. I guess because of the fact that we have the zoning states, it has to be within 5 foot. That's kind of where I'm looking at that, but do you have thoughts on that as well?
As the 5 foot rule,
Yeah, because that's really what we're talking about here is you can't be within 5 foot of the lot lines. Of course, the lot lines aren't marked, so neighbors don't know where the lot line is, so.
right, well, when I first bought the place, I had it surveyed out right away, I already know where all the pins are and. So I know exactly where I'm at, otherwise the 5 foot, well, like I said, hardship on my end of it would be yes, and. What do you say? I'm asking for leniency of the 2'6".
Understood. I think at this point, we're on I think we kind of satisfied the public portion of
Oh,
this.
sure. Mhm.
So at this point, we're going to move on into the,
The discussion
discuss
action.
possible action on the petition.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please, yeah.
Did you indicate you're not planning to park the vehicle there here in the winter?
Not my cell no, that gets put away in the building. No. It'd probably be, if anything, it'd be my truck. You know, cause I have my two kids that will probably park in the garage and I'll work off. This way you're not running on the wind or moving your car and blah, blah, blah. I'm retired now, so the less I go outside, the better. Especially when it's cold.
Yeah, and somewhat familiar with this aspect is my dad, before he passed, had an RV. And ran into a similar situation and ended up doing a gravel pad.
Yep, I've seen a lot of them. It's just, to me, a gravel pad looks gaudy.
Well,
And it
I
kind of makes everything look horrible.
have to agree, unfortunately, I'm just looking at the ordinances and kind of looking at that. I'm sorry, does anybody else have any questions?
That's done.
I guess I don't understand why we're talking about this because. I would not want my neighbor to put down gravel pad 5 feet next to my yard. That's about the stupidest thing I ever heard of.
I think that would be approaching it worse than concrete.
It comes out of your neighbor's yard.
I don't want that gravel in my yard. I can tell you that right now, and it would be terrible.
If you were putting gravel down, I'd say no,
Nope,
there's no way in hell.
no,
But he
you're right.
doesn't have to apply for a variance for gravel.
I'm just saying,
All right,
what
so,
would you rather have next to you?
I understand.
Percent.
But you know, where we're at right now is an interpretation of what the rules are.
People made rules, but I can go around town and find 7 or 8 places that have already broken.
Understood?
So a lot of the pads that I had put on there, and I can think of a couple more. I put the addresses on there,
Mhm.
all them people put them on there for either a vehicle or an RV,
Mhm.
or I should say a camp.
Yeah,
And that's what I see through all, what I picked off through the neighborhood, up through there.
and,
Not saying just mine's the only one that's gonna be there, it's, you know, there's other people that have these.
and actually, that's been a discussion that, is kind of going through the village right now, is the fact that, in the past, enforcement of the zoning courts, zoning has been lax, but now that we're getting bigger and looking at that, there is some discussion about more strictly enforcing the rules. And that's what comes back to us, is that we are a quasi court of law, and we have to make our judgments based on what the law says. So, that's one thing that, I'll encourage us to look at that, because if there's looking for it to be a change in the laws, then in that particular case, like we saw the last time,
Mhm.
they actually went to the, village board and looked for a change in the ordinances and such as that. But ours is to decide whether or not the rules are fair. Ours is just to see that they're enforced, and if they're not being enforced, it's, do they meet these certain criteria? And which we'll talk about in just a moment.
Mhm.
So, more in public comments?
I'm good.
Yeah, say something.
What? Why can't you just let them do it and the neighbor said it's fine?
Yeah.
So then turn around. And let's say somebody else buys it. He can cut the 2 foot 6 off of the concrete. Real easy.
In this particular case, again, we're not, if you're looking for a variance, okay, then there are criteria that we use for the variance from that. And ours isn't the judgment of whether it makes it easier or not, we're just looking at whether or not the hardship conditions, unique aspects of the property would allow for us to do a variance on this, because not every piece of property is the same, so. That's kind of my answer to the question, is that, if you're asking us, we're kind of like a judge and this is the law. We have to follow, if you're looking for interpretation of changing the laws, then you go back to the village board and ask them to make the changes.
So basically what you're saying as of right now, you're not gonna allow it.
At this particular point, we haven't gone into that portion of it, we're still in public hearing. So there's 5 members here, so I can't speak for the other 4.
Right. I'm just saying by the way you're wording it, that's what it makes it sound like.
Well, as the chair, I have to state what the rules are.
Right.
Because, actually I'm legally liable, so there are certain things, if I don't do, at least set up the meeting correctly, I could be liable.
Correct. Understandable.
Further comments in public hearing?
I got a comment.
Certainly.
You were saying a minute ago about being fair. There's a lot of driveways in this town that are set up. Probably to where it's the same as this, or I guess if you wanna use worse, it's a worse case than this as far as up to property line. And if fair is fair, can't we basically just go by what's good for the resident and the owner?
Carly, I'm gonna let you answer this one.
Sure. So unfortunately, we have the zoning code, which outlines what the village board, all of the elected officials at that time determined to be fair. So everything, so there was a zoning code rewrite several years ago. So things have gotten a little more strict since the code was first written. So I mean, fair is kind of a different thing. It's not necessarily, we have to follow what is in the zoning code and what was written and what was approved. We can't look back on things that were done in a previous era. We have to move forward and look at what is written in the code today. And that's ultimately where, this group has to draw the line. Obviously fair is up for interpretation, and, it stinks that things were done a different way back then. But this is what we have today, so.
Well, what happens if, as we move forward from this point on, because I can't speak for what was done 5, 10 years in the past.
Right.
When we come into a similar situation and somebody says, well, the zoning board of appeals allowed that variance. And it's kind of like a court of law set the precedent saying that this is okay. So then we come into conflict. Describe to me how that works.
Yeah. So that one, that is a little difficult, because when you do have a zoning board of appeals that does set the precedent, then you do come into later on, when other people come into it, they would want the same treatment. So if this was allowed, then it could be allowed in any neighborhood, right? And so that's not something that we can decide as a zoning board of appeals can just decide whether that's fair and continuing on, right? Because that's not necessarily like the essence of the zoning code. It's written the way it's written, so I know it's very confusing, and
It's very confusing, and what made you guys get more strict now versus 10, 15 years ago? When this was allowed back then, what happened between then and now that you won't allow this to happen where you used to allow it? What happened?
Good question.
I wanna know.
That is a good question. I've only been at the village for a year, so I wouldn't know exactly what the impetus for all of those changes are. I do think, though, that the village is getting bigger.
Right, I understand that, we are growing, but
Right.
I wanna know.
But when was
I
the
can
change?
give you an idea. Let's go back 10 years ago, and we would have just went out and did it, never asked permission.
Okay,
It was allowed. So,
okay,
But now, because we actually have, when you do the RO, when you do the road, we have somebody comes out.
we had them 15 years ago and 20 years ago.
Okay. All right, so,
The right of way permit?
yeah, the right of way permits, but also,
Right.
when was the change in the zoning ordinances changed? When was that made?
Oh, I want to say it was like 2018 or 2019. I think it was 2018 or 2019.
About 6 years.
Yeah,
And that's where, again, getting different.
Right.
things are getting stricter. Yeah,
Well, it isn't that it's stricter, it's. The knowledge isn't out there for everybody to know this, and that's where I fell into this.
Mhm.
Okay. So I guess we're still in public hearing
Mhm.
at this particular point. Do you have any further information for this?
I don't think so. Is there anything further you want to talk about?
I'm good, I think we're getting to the point.
Okay.
Okay, so we're kind of in the back and forth, so, Zach?
Yeah.
Any questions, concern before we go into the, looking at the conditions?
Nope.
There,
No questions.
Pat?
I'm good.
Okay, no, Dick? Okay, I've done more talking than anybody else here, so I'm pretty sure everybody knows where I'm at, so let's kind of go through what we need to be looking at in terms of granting a variance, and let's, if you wouldn't mind, setting up the procedures,
Sure.
we have to, what we have to do, we have to look at this, and then all of them have to be met.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Yep.
let's kind of walk through, let's do all of them first review, and then let's start from the beginning and look at the top one.
Okay, so just kind of an overview. So while there are 6 listed here, the 3 main criteria we're looking for are unnecessary hardship, unique property condition, and then no harm to the public interest. So that's the essence of what we're looking for in all of these. So I can start by reading number 1. There are conditions unique to the property of the applicant that do not apply generally to other properties in the district.
So from the explanation that we heard, was you listed some addresses of places that you state already have done this in the past.
Not saying they're on the property line or anything else, but they've added extra to the side of their driveway
Sure.
to do what I'm doing.
Right. But without knowing how close they are to the property lines.
Right.
And so, let's go back to the question. Discussing amongst ourselves, we looked at the plan map and we looked at things. Are there any unique conditions to this property that are different from any other, the properties on it? So it looks like pretty much the basic lots that are kind of going through. Really hate this question,
it is kind of stupid.
It is kind of a weird question.
but there comes like you have sidewalks or something like that, if there's a hill. Well, we had one where there's a hill next to it, so there were some unique conditions. So I think we can. Let's just kind of go there. Zach, do you see any unique conditions to this?
None are striking.
I don't know if the setback from the side of the garage is less than would typically be allowed.
It would be the same issue. The garage. That 10 foot, I think it's 10 foot from the side lot. But this wouldn't affect the setback on the garage. It would be the 5 foot would be on that, so it would be the same condition. It would still be 2'6" instead of 5 foot going all the way up.
Right, but if somebody wants to do another pad next to the garage and the garage is closer to the lot line than would typically be the case.
And that would be a unique situation.
Right,
Yeah, but that's not the case here. I don't think.
No.
Okay,
I don't understand the round table, what does that mean?
Round table, that's just another spot that 3305 is on round table. Which it just comes up from Bolenbeck and round table tied together. It's kind of like a roundabout, but they just changed names.
sure. Nick? Yeah, I think you kind of regret that. What is your opinion on this? I want to make sure we have everybody's opinions we go through.
I've got a setbacks.
Yeah, well, no, is there anything unique to this property In other words, that would give us a reason to grant the variance.
I don't think there's anything unique except that. In my opinion, it's been done in town, and if the neighbors agree to it, then. To me, it's good.
I don't see anything unique about the property. I looked at it, looks like it fits in with everybody else. I did not measure, the setback on the driveway from the others from the lot line, so. Once the lot lines are marked, you don't know where they're at. So I can't say that it's any different or it's. The lot. And I'll be kind of the same, where I think I didn't see anything unique to that. So, at this particular point, before we move on any further, I don't know if we want to just keep going through, so. Zach, you don't see anything unique or different? No.
I don't, unless, as Terry mentioned, if that garage is not set back to the property line, then I would. In turn, make that unique.
Seems to be added 10 foot, I don't see him look at the map.
From the side of my garage on it's
Yeah.
10'6".
10'6",
Yeah.
okay, so we'll find there. Terry? You see?
Yeah, no, I think that answers that question.
Okay. Pat, okay, I think you know where you're at.
Yeah.
Okay. Then, like I say, I don't see anything unique about that. Okay, and I don't see anything unique, so,
So are we on to number 2 now?
yeah, so, we planned out 4-1, at least on that particular.
Yep,
one.
I've got it noted.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm terrible at writing things down.
You're fine. All right, number 2, the variance is not contrary to the spirit, purpose, and intent of the regulations in the zoning district, is not contrary to the public interest, and that substantial justice will be done if awarded.
So we switch her up. Pat, you wanna start? Okay.
Was it, to me, when you're in a town this size and you're doing stuff. If the neighbors agree with it, then fine. If I don't have an opposition from the neighbors, we don't deserve to have an opposition.
Terry?
Yeah, I got no comment on this. Particular.
No comment.
My comment is that there's reason for the setbacks aside from trying to make it look good. There's one is the lawn area, the water can infiltrate. And it keeps the water from running off. The second one is, I think one of the original reasons for this was, for fire protection. So that fire in one place was not in another. Now, a concrete driveway is not going to be a fire hazard in the next one, but. What I'm saying is there's a reason for the setback. It's not just to say that we don't like people building closer, it's just to say there's a reason that should be. You know.
I don't see this contrary to the public interest, other than the fact that we have these rules in place. And there, there's a 5-foot setback, and once we say that that's okay, then it kind of opens the door, which was alluded to in the past. And as we are getting larger, that creates a situation. So, and in terms of a broad public interest, that's where I'm at. That's my concerns are that we need to be kind of following the 5 foot. So, but I'm hearing 2 abstains. I'm hearing 2, and then
Sure, I mean, we can go back through. I didn't know what no comment meant.
I don't know, gentlemen, in this case, are you abstaining? No comment? What do you mean by it?
Personally, I think that gravel would do the public, especially the neighbor, an injustice rather than.
And I'm not saying that they do the gravel, I'm just saying if he's looking for an alternative,
Sure.
that would be one option available, parking on the grass.
Sure, certainly.
And then I got a problem with that is you drag grass, dirt, mud, everything else out onto the road.
No, understood.
Right.
You know, unfortunately, they've got these rules, they're set up. And we're obligated to enforce them essentially. And unless there's some extenuating circumstances. You want this to look uniform through the town.
But then on the other hand of it is too, I understand what you're saying. But on the other hand is, okay, now that I got this open, I'm just gonna back in a truck and dump gravel there, and now you're gonna have runoff that's gonna pull all the gravel sediments, everything else down that road. Plus, I stopped from parking my truck or the RV on the lawn, cause I'm pulling mud and stuff out. You know how many times I've taken my hose up there and washed the road back off? Just to clean up the,
Mhm.
I take care of my.
And now you might park on the street and your vehicle's in the way for snow plowing and all that.
Right,
I get it, but unfortunately,
I know what you're saying,
you know,
there's a rule there that you guys are trying to follow.
yeah, our hands are kind of tied.
I don't even know why you own that 5 feet. Can't do anything with it. I don't
Well, I
know.
don't understand, but, you know.
Well,
You
again,
own the 5 feet and they're telling you can't do anything with your property that you bought. So it's like, what are you saying? Why own it?
Yeah, well, again, that's a rule for the village to change, it's not ours for us to make the
That's what I'm
change.
saying.
Yeah.
Why you even own
Mhm.
But,
Do understand.
yeah,
it? You're paying tax on it.
but I'm going to address the point that you talked about there. I just, and you kind of addressed it, you went ahead and did the work thinking you were okay based on what you saw around you, so.
well, not just the work around me, but I was misled on
Sure,
the
no,
size.
right, no, I understand,
And then that's when Matt said, hey, wait a minute, there's a 5-foot variance, which that threw me off.
sure, understood, but yeah, so where I'm saying is. I wanna take out of the equation, the work that you have done already, cause as far as I'm concerned. No work's been done.
Right.
Does that make any
Yep,
sense?
yep, man. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, so I don't wanna get into cause it's not a hardship, it's just something that was there, so as far as my brain is concerned, it's grass. You know, and no work is done, so because at this point, no harm, no foul. You haven't poured any concrete.
Right.
At this particular point, I'm at the same thing, I think it would be, contrary to public interest.
All right, are we ready to move on to number 3?
Yes, ma'am.
For an area setback or an area variance, compliance with the strict letter of the ordinance would unreasonably prevent use of the property for a permitted purpose or would render compliance with the ordinance unnecessarily burdensome.
Okay, so. Gonna have to write these questions sooner or later, but basically, what you're saying is that if we enforce strict compliance of the ordinance, this would prevent him from using this property for a permitted use.
Right.
Is that what you're saying?
That is correct. That's what's here.
Okay. Let me see. Dave, we'll start with you.
The definition of permitted use is if it's a single family house, it's a place to live in.
Can you pull up a copy of the ordinance that states about what RVs for parking?
Oh, sure.
Because that's really kind of clear though.
Yeah.
So,
It's this one.
gotcha.
Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, so basically the ordinance states that if you have an RV, then it needs to be parked in a driveway. Did I simplify that too much, or does that pretty much capture the spirit of it?
I think that captures the spirit of it.
So right now, it's currently being parked in the driveway. Okay. Think you got enough?
It went away, I went to read the.
Oh, did you want to read it? I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I apologize.
Okay, well. I don't know that the definition of for residential area that involves parking large vehicles.
Well,
That's, to me, the use of the house is a place to live.
my question is, why does it go on to say, except recreational vehicles, motor homes and allowed in apartment driving?
Yeah.
I think we gotta go through town, take every motor home out of every driveway.
No, it says that except, so those
So-
are allowed.
Yeah, RVs are allowed to be parked in driveways.
That's what this says.
So he's not right now, as of this moment, you're not in violation of any ordinance with your vehicle being parked in the driveway.
Mhm.
So you're able to use your driveway according to that. So in this case, your right to park that vehicle is not being denied. I'm sorry, I interrupted, I talked over the top of you, Dick.
I don't think what he wants to do beats the intent of the ordinance. I don't think that that would be an exclusion that would be allowed in my opinion.
Pat,
I'm still at the same point. I think we go through town and we take every motor home out of every driveway and move them. Have the people find a place to store.
Well,
Not get doubles.
I don't think the question.
That is what you're talking about doing.
So he's saying that parking the motorhome in the driveway is allowed.
yeah, that's allowed.
Mhm.
It's okay, it's okay for him to park it there.
Okay, park
It's
the
just-
motor home in the driveway, park the car on the street. Or the car in the other grass. Whatever you wanna do. Just so if you rip up your neighbor's yard, who cares? That's what they're saying.
You can deal with my mom on that one then, David.
No. Pass.
Oh. She would not be a happy kid.
Basically, is what RG was saying is to okay this,
There
is
has to be a
that
hardship.
he doesn't need it for the RV is what he's saying, basically. And so I would go under saying no, because I'm looking at it for, I run with my motorhome every weekend. But when I come home, I need a place to put it, plus I've got, right now, I can't even get in my garage because of it. So what I'm looking at is putting something so I can get it over, let my two kids get in, out, or whatever, if I gotta bring groceries in, I can get to it, instead of walking 48 feet to my house. That's basically my explanation of what's happening here. I mean, I understand there's a guideline you gotta roll by, but I mean, there's common sense in this, is basically what I'm looking at.
No, and, in this particular case, we're not in public comment, so we're in discussion here, but I'm certainly allowing you to.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, but-
I'm sorry about that.
No, we just can't get into a back and forth with you.
Right, no,
But I wanna hear your input.
right, I just explained it over to
No,
him.
no worries at all, nothing's,
I apologize.
no harm, no foul. So Dick, I'm sorry, Pat, you're saying that there is a hardship or is not a hardship?
But they'll be allowed to park there. I don't see a hardship only because of one reason. There's plenty of places in town I can go around, and I would want them removed from their driveway.
Barry?
So I think what he was asking is if there's a hardship for them not to be able to park there.
Well, eventually, I don't know what he's gonna do with the motorhome.
Right, I mean, that's the
Yeah.
hardship, that they park it on the road.
Yeah.
And. Yeah, so on this. You know, I can see that. There's a hardship because you wanna be able to, I'm assuming you have a 2-car garage?
Yes.
So you wanna leave the 2 stalls open in front of the garage and park the RV on the side. You know. Yeah, it's.
You got it.
Right. It's unfortunate that, you know, it's certainly an inconvenience. Does that rise to the level of being a hardship? For a single family home, you know, that's the question. And I don't know, that's at the very least a convenience. An inconvenience rather, but.
Yeah, and I guess I, maybe just to answer a question, from the League of Municipalities, that they talk about practical difficulties or unnecessary hardships do not include conditions personal to the owner of the land, but rather due to conditions affecting the land in question. I don't know if that clarifies it or not at all or not. So,
To some degree, you know, yeah.
so, your answer is on this one, is there, in this particular case, would prevent use of the property, so
Yep.
he could continue to use this property, whether or not he had that extension, it just wouldn't be convenient.
So,
If
you know,
I'm-
trying to sell a single family home with a 2-car garage. And no extra parking lot for an RV, that would typically not be considered a. Hardship, so yeah, I guess I would have to say.
I think that the way the question is phrased, unnecessarily burdensome. I mean, it sounds unnecessarily burdensome. Having to, you know, in order to use your garage, pull out an RV that you're not allowed to park on the street per the ordinance.
He's currently parking it in his driveway,
Correct.
so.
But if you wanted to use your garage, you know, that's, to me, unnecessarily burdensome. The way I interpret that.
Um. Kind of the,
We're on to number 4.
yeah, I don't think I gave mine yet,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I'm kind of the strict letter of the law guy, so. I'm gonna go with, I don't think it creates a burden or hardship. This fourth one's so much closer to the 3. Want to read that one?
Okay. Yep. The alleged difficulty or hardship is created by the terms of the ordinance rather than by a person who has a present interest in the property. So I'm assuming your responses will be very similar to 3.
Yeah, I'll just start on this one. See, based on my last answer, because 3 and 4 are very similar in terms of questions.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree with the same thing. If, we're gonna be extended only by 5 feet. Then there would be no question whatsoever, it's just the extra 2.5 feet, yes.
It's just too bad.
Mhm.
Okay. Kind of the same question.
I've said my piece.
Okay. You comfortable with that, okay?
Yep.
There,
Right, and again, it's more of the way they want to use the property than. You know, anybody else may want to use it. You can certainly see where a lot of people would want to do that, but. Is unique to the home.
I would agree with Terry's sentiment on that.
okay,
Okay, and then number 5. The proposed variance shall not create substantial detriment to the adjacent property.
I'm gonna say I don't think it does. That,
All right, proposed variance, no.
shall not create a substantial detriment to it.
Evidently, the people don't care, so.
Right, I would agree.
Say,
Those on that, and then final one is number 6, proposed variance shall be compatible with the character of the immediate neighborhood.
I'll start out in, maybe you've given enough examples that it doesn't change the character, lot lines aren't. Put up and posted, so it's not like people know where the lot lines are at. So, on this particular question. What they're asking for, I don't see how it would change the character of me, I think this must be more for a. Design environment.
Yeah.
This
Mhm.
doesn't really apply to where we're at. But the question's asked, so I'll answer it, not that I think it's compatible with the neighborhood.
I agree with you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's compatible to the neighborhood.
You too, sir. All right.
So, we want to go through it. So the basic, as I understand, is want to make sure we're all on the same page. All of these have to be, we have to agree that the variance should be granted on all 6 conditions.
Mhm.
If only one of the 6 is not granted, then the variance is not approved.
Mhm.
Okay. Is everybody comfortable where we're at on that? So if you would like to read to us the results on each one.
All right, so I think the last time we did this, we went through and voted whether that we should grant the variance or not.
Okay, well, in this particular case, my apologies.
Oh, that's okay, I just
So-
wanted to make sure we're
Yeah,
staying
following the
consistent.
same rules.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at this going, we got the set rules. I will start with Zach. I'll make sure I'm the last piece.
I think that the variance should be granted,
Should be granted,
should be granted.
okay,
knowing that if even one of these is in advance, you're still gonna say yes. Yeah.
I think it should not be granted.
Matt,
I think it should be granted.
I think it should not be granted. I think it should not be granted. Based on the fact that we didn't meet all these.
okay, so the variance has been denied, there are 3 no votes and 2 yes votes.
Now, if there's I believe there's an opportunity to appeal, but I'm not exactly certain how that works. You gotta have to go to a court.
Yes, that would have to go to a court, however, the last applicant, we had recommended discussing with the village board. If that is something that you'd want to look at, reducing those setbacks. I know that per our last, so it was a patio setback. That the village board actually reduced, so they did go into the village or to the ordinance and they reduced the setback. So there is the potential to,
Was that reduction done just for that particular piece of property, or was it done
no, it was done for patios in general.
for patios in general?
Mhm.
So it wouldn't apply to driveways.
It would not, because it wasn't the pavement setback, unfortunately.
Interesting.
But I do know that that's what we had recommended last time, so I don't know if
Right.
there's anything else you'd want to recommend, Bob.
No, I think at that particular point, because I'm still struggling with the fact that the point that was made, the public was like, hey, it's my property, why can't I use it the way I want to use it? But we have the rules that say it needs a 5-foot setback, so we have to follow those rules that are in place. But I do know there's some discussion coming up for the new development, where they're talking about reducing the setbacks on the driveways.
Mhm.
So there might be an appetite for some discussion on whether or not.
Mhm.
New
And another thing, I think this is a complete upgrade to the small properties having it this way, the
Mhm.
water runoff and everything.
Mhm.
You know, to be quite honest, I'm not disagreeing with you.
It is, I'm a concrete contractor, and I'll tell you, the thing is set up to where water's running off the way it is.
Don't run off. Gonna take all the gravel, I'm gravel in there. How you guys keep me a road?
How about if I sell you, if we concrete the whole thing between both of our houses?
So do you think, let the village know that they're gonna be cleaning the road out, because I'm dumping gravel, and I'll just keep dumping gravel.
Mhm.
I mean, this is pathetic.
Well-
Well, asking for 2 foot sets, that's all I'm asking for.
Right, and unfortunately, you can't change the rules that
You can't,
they
it's
put in
hardship.
place.
How would you like to come up and carry groceries 48 feet to your driveway when I can't even get to my garage?
But we can agree that that's a hardship, but you can't get the variance just because it's a hardship. You have to meet all the other,
I thought this whole thing was about hardship.
you have to meet all 6 of the requirements in order for it to go through. That's the problem, and that's where our hands are.
So which 6 did you see that you don't agree?
They set the
Every
regulations,
just with an agreement of yes or no, but
I mean, they set the regulations so that it would be uniform. through the city. I,
And I hate to
don't
tell you,
know.
my house was built in 1967, and this thing was just put out in 18. Now, how is
that's
this
why,
supposed to- this
that's
is-
why I was wondering how, because if your house would have been closer than 10 feet to the lot line, then I would have
No,
said,
but my neighbors is.
then I would have said, well, then the driveway could be widened, you know, closer to the lot line. Because,
So if my garage is over closer, I can make my driveway bigger? That don't even make sense.
because then your setback from your garage to the lot line is smaller than what it should be. Your setback from the driveway to the lot line, I would also allow it to be closer than it, than what they're calling for. Because then you could, because if they made the regulations so you could park a vehicle next to your garage. And your garage is too close to the lot line in order to do it, that would be a different,
If I'm parking my motorhome in between on top of it, you're looking at a fire hazard. And I can, as well as Pat knows, there's a lot of vehicles, a lot of RVs and vehicles parked between houses.
right,
Just
I,
now. So
I understand.
where's it stop?
The first thing we gotta do is make sure the police start going around and giving everybody a ticket for that.
So
Because we're saying that's illegal.
Yeah,
she did have an avenue to follow through with.
Yeah, we have to now. We just made the avenue. We're telling these people they can't do what other people have done in town.
and I'm paying taxes on something.
They're paying taxes, the same thing everybody else.
Meeting?
And you remove everybody from what they're doing.
I think at this particular point, the decision is made, I'd like to adjourn the meeting. Certainly heard the comments where we're at. I do apologize, it's not the answer you were looking for. It's unfortunately with the restrictions that we have in
Well,
place.
common sense goes a long ways with this, and this is absolutely ridiculous.
We're still take it to the village board.
Taking a lot of things to the board.
I think about Holland 16 feet of snow right out in the middle of the road.
Right up on the road.
Do we have a motion to adjourn, please? Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second,
All those in favor, say aye. All those opposed, meeting is
Okay.
adjourned.
So they were able to get the